All right, still talking finance here. Unsecured loans, corporate lending records higher default rates, according to the CBN survey. And part of the reading says Nigeria's credit market is facing renewed strains as unsecured and corporate loans across all business segments recorded higher default rates in the third quarter of 2025. According to the Central Bank of Nigeria's latest credit conditions survey dated September 2025, the report points to rising vulnerability in key sectors and underscores the need for lenders to strengthen risk management frameworks while while borrowers prioritize timely repayment, and that is very key there. Well, why do you borrow when you don't have intention to pay? Then how will it go around? How will such services go around?
I don't know why this is coming to my mind. The scripture says something that the wicked borrows and does not repay. So
So whoever borrows is a wicked person. Pastor
no,
Sunday says
whoever
so.
borrows is not a wicked person.
That
But
the
whoever borrows
but
and
refuses to pay
is wicked.
Okay.
Now let's check this before we close shop. I do understand that your tide is here. Police ban fireworks in Imo, Plateau. The Imo and Plateau State Police Commands have announced the total ban on the sale, distribution, and use of fireworks and knockouts as the Christmas and New Year celebrations approach. Both commands said the measure is aimed at preventing injuries, fires, and disturbances during the festive period. In a statement posted on X, signed by the State Police Public Relations Officer, Okoye Henry, on Sunday, the Imo State Police Command said it has reiterated the total ban on the sale, distribution, and use of fireworks, knockouts, and all forms of pyrotechnics across the state. It added that the ban is crucial for public safety and that violators will be arrested and prosecuted.
So be it. Must anybody be told this time around? I mean, I used to be a fan of fireworks, knockout, and what have you. But, recently, was it yesterday or thereabout, when I heard in my neighborhood, something like that, I was like, who does that? I mean, where we are as a nation now, is that what we should be doing? Do you want us to confuse knockout for something else? When we know that there are some other sounds that we hear that are not, sounds of celebration. Nobody needs to tell a parent to advise the word to stay away from such practice this time around. No sane adult, should indulge in that right now because we have so many things to deal with when it comes to awkward sounds around us now, because some are quite not sounds of celebration but devastation.
I totally agree with you, other than the fact that I have never been a fan.
I used to be.
You might grew up, perhaps you grew up as a potty.
No.
I grew up as Baki.
Anything, even Bakis, you use rackets.
Well, yes, I agree with you. That's one that we use plank to make. But you know what I find very interesting in your submission is the fact that nobody should be told at this point in time. And I also feel like it should not just be about Imo and Plateau states. It should be about
across the
generality
nation,
of
yes.
the country. If people are not using their initiative to understand the peculiarity of the time, then government should step in and impose the peculiarity of the time
on the people. Yes.
Of course, that would be a right step in the right direction. Why should you use knockouts at a time when just a single bang like this could be mistaken for
something
thing?
else? Yes.
Now there is panic in the mind of many people, and then you still want to throw anything. Well, I did say yesterday while I was having a similar conversation with someone, I did say if I hear a single bang
around your premises, yeah.
Well, the initiator of the bang will also receive a bang on the head.
That's
because it does not make any sense.
It doesn't. Look at the incidents that happened in Kwara State. One of the eyewitnesses, said at first they heard that sound and they felt it was all these fireworks or what have you, until they saw gunmen really entering the church, and what the news says.
Well, for me, it goes without saying.
So please stay out
about. There must not be use of fireworks.
In fact, no, those things too. I'm not, but I think they should also. It should also be banned
across the country. But I'm just saying that. Peculiar situations also require peculiar.
Yes.
In Kwara State, there must not be anything like, maybe you call it banger, you call it knockouts. whatever name you call it, they must be outlawed.
Because
Straight up.
this unscrupulous fellows can also hide
Under
under
that.
the disguise of your merriment, and to bring another sound that
Look at
wouldn't
the
end well.
incident in I think it's in Lagos. You're doing a festival and then masquerade and all that. Then you turn it into an avenue to commit crime. So there must be a way to keep these things at bay so that we could be able
It's
to
for our
really-
protection. Maybe when the country is secured again, we'll go back to
it even has no relevance.
It-
If you want to celebrate, go get chicken, turkey, and whatever it is, cook in your
feast
home,
and eat.
feast and eat. I think that's just it. If you can afford to buy knockouts, then use the money and use it to
Or play some
activity in your-
sounds,
in your house.
good music, and
That's-
enjoy.
That's interesting. Everyone, well, thank you so much for being a part of this. We will take a break, and then when we return, it's time for the conversation on the state of affairs of the Nigerian state. Please do stay with us, everyone. We'll be right back.
She was called the Lioness of Lisabi, a name that roared through the halls of colonial power and echoed in the hearts of women across Africa. Her name is Fumilayo Ramsam Kuti, a teacher, activist, feminist, nationalist, and mother to legends. But before the fame, there was fire. Born on October 25, 1900 in Abeokuta, present-day Ogun State, Nigeria. Fumilayo was born Frances Abigail Olufumilayo Thomas. She came from a family that valued education, and in 1914, she became the first female student at Abeokuta Grammar School. Determined and brilliant, she later traveled to England for further studies, a rare feat for a Nigerian woman at that time. There, she trained as a teacher, absorbing ideas of equality and freedom that would shape her life's mission. On returning to Nigeria in the 1920s, she married Reverend Israel Ransom Kuti, a clergyman and educator. Together, they worked to uplift their community through education. But Fumilayo was not content with just teaching. She saw how colonial rule and traditional structures oppressed Nigerian women, and she decided to act. In 1947, she founded the Abeokuta Women's Union, one of Africa's most powerful grassroots women movements. The group fought against unfair taxation and the corrupt practices of the Alake, the traditional ruler of Abeokuta. Thousands of women led by Fumilayo marched in protest. They sang, they chanted, they occupied, and eventually they won. The Alake was forced to abdicate. Fumilayo Ramson Kuti was fearless. She was one of the few Nigerian women to drive a car, to travel widely, and to speak truth to power. Her activism didn't stop in Abeokuta. She was a founding member of the Nigerian Union of Teachers, a member of the National Council of Nigeria and the Cameroon's NCNC, And in 1953, she became the first Nigerian woman to visit the Soviet Union, a move that earned her the label Communist Sympathizer by British authorities. But she wasn't deterred. In fact, she was emboldened. In her later years, she focused on broader issues: education, voting rights, women participation in politics. She advocated for the inclusion of women in leadership and resisted Nigeria's slide into authoritarianism. She raised 4 children, including Fela Anikulapo Kuti, the legendary Afrobeat pioneer, instilling in them the spirit of resistance and truth. But tragedy would eventually come. In 1977, during a brutal military raid on Fela's compound, known as Kalakuta Republic, Funmilayo was thrown from his second-story window by soldiers. She never recovered from the injuries, and on April 13th, 1978, she passed away. Funmilayo Ransom Kuti was more than a mother, more than a teacher. She was a symbol of courage, of resistance, of dignity. She paved the path so Nigerian women could walk tall, speak freely, and fight for justice. Her legacy lives in every classroom, every protest, every woman who dares to say enough is enough. This was the story of Funmilayo Ransom Kuti, the lioness of listening, a voice that cannot be silenced, a spirit that lives on.
thank you so much for sitting there with us on the Outlook. Now, our point of conversation this morning will be centering on media censorship and national security, balancing truth and responsibility. And joining us is a publisher and, well, a very senior journalist. Tayo Adu is an Otumba. Well, he's already telling me that it's a very big event, so it's not like it's an honorary title.
If he has not,
Otumba Tayo Adu, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us on the air today.
Thank you for having me.
Well, it's not a laughing matter in Nigeria currently. The security situation is not leaving anyone honey in the mouth, but sour taste. And as journalists, we owe the public a responsibility of the truth. While dishing out this truth, what is the place of the consciousness of national security in ensuring balance in our reportage?
Well, it's because there is, first and foremost, a country before you could practice your profession, irrespective of, the profession you're practicing. Even though the focus this morning is the media. And I think every editorial board, every editorial room will want to make sure that the national security is not compromised. And so it's not as if the media is being caged or guarded, but it's just because it's a responsibility that I don't lose the peace. You don't lose the peace that the country enjoys through, what we churn out from the editorial room, so as to make sure our territorial integrity and security is maintained. And so for that reason, I think it is a responsibility of every, journalist to make sure whatever that's going to be churned out to the public, consider that such information is not going to be a threat to national security.
So where does the place of balance come into play between courage and national cohesion?
For example, we're here in Nigeria, and if I say, I want to, because if I say because of, I want to be sensational, I want to show myself as a courageous media practitioner, a courageous journalist, and I roll out a story that will make the military to truncate democracy, that several, media fathers in this profession lay down their lives to make sure, in the course of duty, to make sure democracy comes to place in Nigeria. And that, we've been enjoying since 1999, even though we all agree that it's not all that we are expecting. It is not the way we want it, done, that is being perfectly, done as at the moment. But definitely, I think everybody will agree that we are not where we used to be, and we're moving is a work in progress.
All right. In Nigeria, most of the time we hear cases. For instance, in the report of insecurity in Nigeria over the time, we've heard words like gunmen and herdsmen, bandits. Different kinds of labels to the insurgents, and these labels by journalists, sometimes they are being criticized by the society, say, giving it such a label, it's like stereotyping a whole group of community and all that. Is this affecting, the way journalists report incidents of insecurity, the labels given to the, or let me say the titles given to
rather,
to the
I would say no. I don't see it that way. You see, we talk about responsible journalism. In a situation where, let's say, a particular village had been attacked, and I'm writing a report, a news story, and I jump into the conclusion without anybody telling me that they saw, the person or that led the attack from a particular tribe, and I now want to write that, story, and I now put it there to stigmatize, the generality of a race. That's a very wrong one.
But in case where you saw...
Hold on. No, that's a very wrong one.
Okay.
But you can, of course, be specific. For example, permit me to say, Fulani herdsmen. You understand? If peradventure there were communications between the people that were attacked and these people, and they saw them speaking, that, particular language, or, and they see, maybe, for example, if I have the ability to differentiate between Hausa, Fulani, Fufude, and all that, whenever I'm writing my story, if I do that, I will be accurate. But if I am not sure, and I'm just saying, because they've been accused, somebody has been accused of an attack yesterday from that area, and we have seen where the people that came to attack, for example, some of them are not, they are not even, outsiders.
Have they been identified?
Yes, those people that have been tried in the court today for war crime. So it's, but there was that mood that could have supported a narration or that narrative that, it's so that's where responsible, journalism comes in. That you should be sure of your facts, before, they are rolled out, to the general public. Because there have been, that I'm a Fulani man does not say I share, all the Fulanis are doing. We have seen, Yoruba, we have seen even siblings, giving out siblings for ransom. We have seen even daughter or son faking, own kidnap just to extort money from the parents who are responsible for his upkeep or our upkeep, in the sponsoring our education and, our upbringing, like that. So we've seen differences like that. So it would be wrong that anytime, there has been cases in Ekiti State here, not too long ago, that some people that were arrested, they were predominantly Yoruba, from that, for that, particular. So we needed, the media needed to get, our information correctly and be responsible. For example, there is, there have been counter, allegations, and as regards the Brigadier General that was killed, recently, it was actually at the cost of duty. That's a motivation for other military, guys that were meant to protect our territory. That even somebody of that high, ranking, in the military, and at the point during the course of duty, maybe he was captured, or when they find themselves in the wrong terrain, he was captured, and before you know it, maybe he was able to use their communication gadget to link up, maybe for backup or for rescue, and during the course of him being in a safe place to do that. But because I guess maybe some, so many people have become media practitioners, and this is an area that needed to be censored actually. Some people, when they just have an Android phone, they don't know what is happening. Some people see an information, they say, oh, something that happened in Sudan 4 years ago. You see that it's happening, Yobe is boiling right away. And you see that they roll it out. So some people that has, for example, a parent that has a only child serving Yobe State as a copper, automatically the health of that parent is destabilized.
All right. One other thing is conflicting reports. Sometimes you hear, 60 people were kidnapped. Then another report says it was 30. Conflicting reports on the actual number of victims.
Still the issue of accuracy.
Yes, accuracy, yes.
You see, that to a large extent is responsibility of the government, the responsibility, of the media establishments. And why have I said this? You look at the government needed to be sure that their citizens are responsible. You should not just allow any quack, rolling out. Those people are, they are not trained. They don't really know the value of disseminating, an inaccurate information. And so, in as much as they don't know, I will not I will not agree with them that, they don't know. Why are you practicing what you don't know, the implication? Why you don't know, what binds you and what, why are you, So the government should look for a way. For anybody disseminating, for example, disseminating an information that something that happened in Sudan, or that, that is happening or that has happened, years back, maybe in Libya, and the person is now saying it's happening right away, maybe in Kano. Such fellows should be arrested and prosecuted.
I also feel that it's important to look at the issue of personal responsibility as it affects professional responsibility. For instance, if you are not careful with what you do as a person and you dish out anything anyhow, you know the ethics of your job. Why flout it? I'll give you an instance of a particular lawyer that was arraigned recently by the FCC for false alarm, false accusation, stating that his landlord is into this, into that. Upon investigation and all of that, there was nothing of sort. So isn't it really a case of having personal responsibility as a professional? That will now go into your professional responsibility. What do you think?
No, I quite agree with you 100%. It's not just that lawyer. You say I felt that lawyer because he felt he read law. He's a legal practitioner, so he could intimidate. With his environment, he could intimidate anybody that comes in contact with. So he wanted to show maybe the landlord that, of course, he could link up with the FCC. He will punish him unjustly. He will send him to prison. He could have threatened him that way. It's not that, and that's not the only case. The case of one of these Nnamdi Kanu's lawyer. This guy that went to join the protest. You have a date in the courtroom. The expertise of what has been what you have garnered all these years. You are meant to come there and display. You now decide to go to the road to say you are protesting. I mean, I'm sure it's not part of the ethics of his profession. And I don't know.
So every professional must uphold the ethics.
Of course,
including journalists.
Including journalists. Everybody, should do it the way it should be done, and having in mind that it is because a country is in existence. That's why, for example, if there is crisis and somebody the wife does not know where the husband is, the daughter is being killed, or the son is somewhere in another. I mean, I pray we'll never experience such a chaotic situation, war zone in this country.
All right, talking about following the ethics of one's profession, is it ethical for a journalist? Maybe you are at a crime scene and the magnitude of the crime, it's so alarming. It's such that could, and do you then underreport it because you feel it will send signals of panic to the society?
You see, when you say under...
Is that part of the ethics of journalism?
Yes, you see, the ethics is whatever you are churning out that could lead to crisis. For example, a particular tribe versus a particular tribe, in a crisis, fighting. And that this is a minority tribe in this environment, in the particular geographical, environment. This is him. And you now report that, your report, look at it. Not that XY committed murder. But you now introduce it this way. Maybe your caption is, a Fufude man kills a Yoruba girl because of tribal hatred. And what you're reporting is happening in Yoruba land, for example. Automatically, you now realize that the bulk of the Yoruba people might want to rise up to go and attack the minority, Fufude, group in that place. Then you are not being, conscious of the national security.
Well, let's also check something. It's also important to balance this conversation.
Yes, sir.
Most times when you talk about journalists' accuracy in reportage, you must also look at the responsibility of government in dishing out information. For instance, the latest incident, the Kwara abduction of worshippers, the Niger State students, and so on and so forth, the Kebi and all of that. Now, the news is that the worshippers have been rescued. Some are saying released. Now, these terms, they are very important.
Yes, very important.
Why are they released by the terrorists? Why are they rescued through the gallantry of security forces? I think these things are also important to guide accuracy so that we're not eating up the polity and then we're not also dishing out inaccurate information. I think it's important.
It's very, very important that the government, and its spokesmen should, of course, be able at every opportunity, dish out accurate information, use right phrases, that best suit, describe what has actually, transpired, having in mind the national, security, having in mind that they should not have to, read out information that will encourage further, kidnappers. You get it now. So
that might be why some security people would not encourage coming out to say ransom was paid.
I think that yes, so that somebody that is just in the board, on the drawing board, planning to execute kidnapping, will not be encouraged, because the police or the security forces, they combine, the army will get us if we kidnap this person. Automatically the money we want to make will make trouble, will make crisis, will make prison, will make life sentence. So that could be part of the reasons why you don't see the security. Most times you don't see the security of officers coming out, or the spokesperson persons coming out to say they paid ransom.
Well, it also brings to bear the fact that it's not all information at your disposal you could publish as a media person.
Of course, yes.
It's not everything you see that you must say. It's not everything you see that you put on the screen.
And it is not everything. It's not the way you see, some things
that you also present them.
That you present them. That's why you are a journalist. You are expected to know how to do your job, to make sure you balance, both the national security and the accuracy of your profession.
But in that case, would journalists not be depriving the public, of vital information that they need to know?
No, I ask a question from you. If an information that the public, you want to give to the public, is that one that will lead that same public to chaos, where nobody enjoys peace, where they lose the peace for the next maybe 3 years, wouldn't you feel it is better you hold back that which you call information that could lead, that could terminate the peace of a particular location for the next 3 years?
And perhaps there are better places to table such information when you have it at your tips. Perhaps not bringing it to the
yes, that is where that's where collaboration, and you could see that the media, the security forces, have been collaborating, better than ever than before, really, and that's why you see some security chiefs when they take over, you see them visiting media houses, meeting boardrooms, so that editorial rooms, so that things, there can be perfect synergy.
Okay. Yes, talking about synergy now, many times when there are breaches of security in places, the news usually breaks and it goes viral. But then when it comes to follow up, or journalists, we don't usually bring enough on the follow-up, and sometimes, in fact, nobody follows up, and then we move to wait for the next big happening, to report. What's your take on that?
I'm not sure.
Is that responsible journalism?
No, I'm not sure. I don't see us, that way. I see that there have been different stories. There is a developing stories, and you see people feasting. Want to, people positioned, want to know what happens after. There are several cases, like that. So I think I beg to differ. That we were only waiting for, but while you, of course, monitoring, following up on the developing stories, you see, still look for opportunity to break that big.
Well, at the risk of trying to take us back a little, this conversation is now no longer even an interview. It's becoming a conversation of media practitioners. So let's also look at it this way: it's not every information that the public should also know.
Yes.
And that's where I think I agree with you.
Yes.
Like saying, it's not every information that the public should know. If the information cause panic, disrupt the peace, then even destabilize government. No, you cannot do
even
dampen the hope of the people.
Yes, even terminate the peace that is enjoyed. Peace. That is enjoyed.
No, okay, but that brings to my mind the incidents where after some attacks you hear people say we provided intelligence and nothing was done. You understand? We provided intelligence and nothing was done. Do such individual will feel, if I had gone online, probably with this intelligence report that I have?
I don't think it is possible. You see, when you say you provide intelligence, some people, like, you don't hear the total story. For example, let's say I'm the security chief, chief, security chief of one of the, security
Head of the
whatever
security
yes,
agency.
in this state, and you as a media person, you come to me or probably you forwarded an intelligence report about a development somewhere. If I now probably lead my men, I pick some trusted, very trusted, crack team that I work with, I take them up and let's go. And before we get there, the thing has escalated. Let's say you give a report of somewhere where you have to drive like 6 hours from the state capital here. You understand? I've directed men, but I needed to be there personally, to coordinate. But before that is done, havoc has been wreaked. And yet we still get there. But the report has gone out that havoc has. But we are able to curtail. It will have expanded, gone beyond, that. You are likely still going to come out and say, and we provided, or I provided intelligence. It's not as if the security did not act on that intelligence. But before they could, of course, implement some things.
Details of security in any case is not
a matter
of
public consumption.
Public consumption. But let's also take this conversation a bit further. When you look at the way and manner security media relations occur, would you say that more is still not needed to be done, especially looking at how some security operatives could be overzealous and then turn media personnel and operatives into object of ridicule in the line of duty, constitutional duty?
Oh, but I'm happy that you readily remember where some security officers have been severely dealt with, even dismissed, because they malhandled, one journalist at the course of the duty, or even while going along, the road, but because the law over, like you said, overzealous, officers have been, several of them have been. So I want to believe that the institution will not support, any journalist being harassed, being disturbed, even in his course of duty.
Okay, there are also times that there are, for instance, we have the report by local reporters. Maybe as a journalist, you've been to a place, you've gotten high witnesses reports and all of that. I know you've answered the question, but I still think I need more. The people would need more explanation on that. You've interviewed the people; they've told you how these things happened. According to their witness, how they saw it. But then the government comes out with a different report. Is this helping the journalist profession?
You see, that's where Sunday just mentioned a case of a lawyer who picked up his pen, wrote a petition against his landlord, that my landlord is this, is that, all the negatives. Now, ideally, somebody that works in the temple of justice, somebody who is a counselor, who is a lawyer, who has been trained, called to bar, and who is practicing law in Nigeria, you wouldn't have expected him to have given false information. So which means it is not even the so-called eyewitness report that you can take hook, line, and sinker. So that's where
exaggeration.
Yes, of course. Then, for example, Sunday is my enemy. And I want to, of course, you now brought an information about him. Of course, you have told me he has 3 fingers. I could, of course, tell you by the time I'm writing my report, this man is a strange man. His fingers are 72 fingers. You understand? So that's where you have to really balance the information you call, that you are receiving.
Okay, now let's look at social media versus traditional media. You understand? There was a news that broke up some time ago, and one of my cousins posted. I was like, why would you post this thing? Has it been verified? He said, oh, that's how you people do. You wait until you know do you understand proactiveness? Okay, that I think that was the essence of that discussion. For instance, during the Abuja base breach in September 2025, social media has reported details hours before the national press. You understand? Is this a failure of traditional media or a result of government's censorship?
Well, which of the cases are you making reference to?
There's the Abuja military base breach, September 2025.
You see, the truth of it is, when you go to the social media, it has its advantages. They're just that the numerous disadvantages it carries. It has broken homes. It has destroyed lives. It has called someone a name that the person is not associated with, and for the person to now begin to go from house door to house door, countering,
like
say it's not, and that person in most cases might have to live with such wrong tag, probably for the rest of his life. And some people that will even spread it will not have the opportunity to meet with the person so that is where, like I said, it has its advantages and it has its disadvantages. But you can be sure. Tell me any story that any reputable traditional media will report that will not be accurate. Right. You understand? So you can be secured. You are sure you are secured when you read. When something happens there are still some people, when they see something on social media, they go to Punch, they want to go to go to these national newspapers.
I don't want to listen as well as Osrc said it.
So they want to be sure. Okay, as well as Osrc, let's listen to their news. Is there anything breaking news? On the screen.
But is this not affecting? Because most times citizens now think traditional media are slow, or they are not bringing the full picture.
No, you can't eat your cake at the same time I have it.
They want to.
You want to balance. The traditional media will not make the mistake of reporting what has not happened, and it has to do with national security.
Journalists have a way of eroding the credibility of the media, so it's important to always
make sure
be
you
sure
avoid
of your facts before you come out with that. But before we close up, let me have a view on certain things having to do with security issues in Nigeria. I read this headline to you. Mass abduction crisis. Tinubu pulls 100,000 policemen from VIPs. Good step in the right direction or not?
Yes, I see it as a right step in right direction, even though there is more to be done.
What are the more things you think should still be done?
I think by now, the security forces should not be having problem locating the hideout of this. You call them bandits, you call them kidnappers, you call them gunmen, unknown gunmen. By now they should be known, because we are in ICT. So if more funds needed to be pumped into that place, it should to that sector, it should be. Then there should be locations that will not be hidden to the military hierarchy in Nigeria. So they should be to pick these people, and if they are attacking them from the from the area attack, automatically you see them running away from Nigeria. I think we needed more of that. Then in a situation, the police force, so many of our people have been, so not all of them, some has been bastardized. Maybe on the altar of, some people do not even have self-esteem. In the police, some people do not have self-esteem because somebody, you have been assigned to, of course, to protect
a VIP. And then you become the bag carrier.
You become the bag carrier. Your umbrella, you hold bag. In some instances, you buckle. You help in buckling. Maybe
buttons.
Like in the cases of those rich man's children, earlier in the year, that was brought.
So it's absurd, actually. So let all of us feel, that, and I'm sure that I don't expect the Civil Defense Corps to go, to take that role, because anybody that is, requesting now has been instructed to go to NSCDC. So if you now go there, those officers, I think they should learn from the mistake.
Isn't it important that we also track these as media practitioners to be sure that this is not like the command or the directive during the Buhari administration God rest his soul, he said he was not even aware that the security chief, I think the Inspector General of Police, as he then was, did not relocate to where he was ready to relocate to. So isn't that necessary that there should be a tracking?
Of
In
course.
such a way to be sure that it's not just that they are changing, maybe they're not using mufti because they don't want to be seen as still being with VIPs.
That is where that is where the public, the journalists, as well, national retention agencies, that is where, we need to step up what we've been doing. And journalists needed to put, them on their toes to make sure what is, what the president has directed, mandated, is implemented.
Has been speaking on this issue.
really?
And then, of course, it's been an interesting conversation.
Today is Otumba's birthday. A lot is yet to, let me use the Nigerian language now, is yet to watch the Otumba title for us. And today is also his birthday. So I guess after the show, you're going to...
Thank you so much.
Congratulations on
Thank you
your
for
birthday.
sharing your thoughts with us on this very important issue. Security is the business of everyone. And of course, we've been able to look at what roles the journalists should also play in enhancing national security, cohesion, peace, and tranquility, even while you do your job. I'd like to thank you, Tumatayadu, for sharing your thoughts with us on the program.
Sunday Kolawole,
Everyone, thank
you.
you for being a part of the show. It's been an interesting moment, sharing thoughts, and also providing perspectives on the issues of national importance. From my colleague, Olashade.
Oh, it's nice being here after a while. Then I want to say that the responsibility of security, securing our communities, our land, lies on everyone's shoulder. So do your part. If you see something, say something.
That does it this morning. I'm Sunday Kolawole, wishing you a profitable day.